Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And these Tuesday videos are typically to start a conversation with you guys because we like to get involved in the whiskey community and get things going down in the comments. However, this is going to be a little bit of a different video where we are going to take questions that we've already solicited from you guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to answer them.
Yeah.
So this is a different way to engage with y'all. We hope you like it.
Yeah.
If you do, this is going to be a two-part thing. We're actually filming them back to back because we had so many questions come in. If you like this style of video, please be sure to like the video and let us know in the comments below that you like it, because if you do,
we'll do more.
We'll do more.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can tell us you hate it in the comments below. We won't do any more of these. Actually, that's a joke. We probably will do more of these because we're going to like it.
Also, you don't have to say you hate it. That's really mean.
Be nice.
I mean, you can say you don't prefer it.
Yeah.
But like, hate's a strong word.
Yeah. Also, as a point of note, down there, these are kind of direct questions, but if there are topics you want to see us cover related to the whiskey world, let us know those in the comments below as well.
Yeah, we're always looking for ideas for our Tuesday videos. So if you guys have some topics that you want to see us talk about or get our opinions on or start a conversation about with you guys, let us know, because we can only think of so much.
Well, that too, and the fact that, like, if you guys haven't gathered, like, we don't have this channel to like get the most views or subscribers or anything like that. We just want to be plugged in and engaged in the whiskey community. We want to have fun together.
Yeah.
But we also want to be plugged in and engaged with you guys. It really is kind of a dialogue back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's what this video kind of speaks to. That's why we're going to do more of these. But let's go ahead and get started. We got our little late night cards.
Some questions here. I'm going to do my best Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you.
All right.
Blah, blah, blah.
So we're going to,
sorry.
and this, by the way, we should note, this is going to be way more of like an uncut style of episode.
Yep.
We're not editing this other than just the basic stuff. We want this to be very off the cuff.
That camera right there.
Very natural. We're looking at you.
See you.
All right. Let's go ahead and go with the first question.
Okay.
And this question started the idea for this because this was left as a comment on a video.
Yes. This is from Brian Click 7080. And he said, how and when did you two become interested in whiskey?
Ladies first.
Well, my journey was a long one. It started very slowly. I don't even know if you would consider it ended. I don't know if you'd consider me interested in whiskey. I like to drink it. So if that's interested, then yes.
Particularly socially.
Socially. I am a social whiskey drinker. And that kind of began, honestly, in 2013. When I was back on the dating scene, and I got into whiskey because I started drinking old fashions at bars when I would go out on dates. And that was something that I just stuck with. And then I think when you and I got together in 2017, that's when I started drinking whiskey neat and enjoying it. And from there, it's just kind of grown. We started the channel, so now I'm drinking more of it. And it's kind of evolved over time.
Yeah. For me, it started about 10 years before you, early 2000s. I was going to college at Western Kentucky. You had the option of drinking cheap beer or cheap bourbon. I chose cheap bourbon. I like the taste of cheap bourbon better than cheap beer.
Fair.
I do like regular beer as well, like good beer, but I don't particularly like cheap beer.
But you were on a budget because you were a college student.
Right. So it was a lot of Jim Beam and Diet Pepsi for some reason. Wild Turkey 101.
No, you don't need those extra calories.
I know. Wild Turkey 101 and whatever, Jack and Cokes, Maker's Mark, all that stuff. So typical college kid type stuff. Maker's Mark came out for the parties when we really wanted to impress the girls and splurge on a bottle.
I mean, Maker's is pretty good.
Yeah. So I've been into it for about 20 years. You about 10 years.
Yep.
Although it wasn't until like 2017-ish where we started really drinking neat.
Yes.
We went to a store, we got a bottle of Henry McKenna 10-year before it won any awards. On a recommendation from the clerk, we drank it neat. It was quite
so
good. We had a great night.
We had a great night.
It was good.
It
was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we got into it back then. We started the channel a couple years later, and here we are.
Yeah.
Which I think some of the subsequent questions will lead into more stuff. So let's keep going.
So Amy Richard 690 asks, what's your process when evaluating bottles at the store from a new distiller?
What's your process?
I don't go to the store to buy our whiskey. So Josh, what do you think?
This is actually a great question. When it comes to new distillers, there's a thing with tech where there's an early adopter curve, and then there's the bulk of most people, and then there's the late adopters.
Yep.
I would say that I skew in all things to the bulk of the curve, if not near late adopters.
That checks out, yeah.
I'm risk averse with wasting my money on products that aren't good.
Yep.
So I typically, when it comes to new distillers, I typically don't spend my money on them until I hear good things about them. Now, for the channel, that can be a little different,
Yeah.
but oftentimes, because of the way our channel's set up through blind tastings, we taste things blind, and if it is a new distiller that impresses us, then we're all in.
Yeah.
But we get to taste it before we try it.
Correct.
So,
but taste it before we like spend a lot of money on it.
right. So let's pretend we didn't have the channel. How could we recreate that? Honestly, it'd probably be trying to find a bar that has that bottle that we could buy a pour, because I would rather spend $15 on a pour of something and taste it to see if I liked it.
Yeah.
Before I spent $50 on a bottle and
Fair.
find out that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I personally don't like wasting money. That's why we say we're a real world channel for the real world whiskey consumer, because we're very value conscious. And we think that's a very real world way of approaching whiskey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hate to be a bore here, but like, honestly, the answer is we don't spend money on new distilleries unless we've tended to try them previously.
Or unless we've heard good things about them, and
Right.
then we will go and see if we agree with
absolutely.
our taste buds.
All right, let's keep it moving.
R. Hayes 458 asks, what are your thoughts on acquiring a lot of 30 to 40-ish shelfer bottles versus limiting purchases and your collection to a few more expensive bottles? Is there a benefit in experiencing a lot of core offerings, or are there diminishing returns at some point?
It's a good question. What
I
do you
have
think?
thoughts on this.
Hit us with it.
And honestly, this question is going to vary by your personality type, because I tend to be more on the minimalist side of things. So I would rather have more pours that I like, whatever the price point is, than a bunch of pours that I don't care for. So the $30 to $40-ish, there are a few that I like, so I'll have some of those. But then there are some higher proof one or higher priced ones. There we go.
There we go. We got there.
There we go. Higher priced ones that I like, and I'll have some of those as well. So I'm kind of in between. I don't think getting a bunch of crap just because it's cheap is really beneficial to anyone, personally speaking. But I think you might have a different answer.
Not entirely, to be honest with you. I mean, I tend to always be a quantity or I was going to say quality over quantity, except it almost came out quantity over quality.
Oh, I think that was a Freudian slip, because sometimes you might be quantity over quality.
I tend to be a quality over quantity type of person. However, with that said, if the quality box is checked, then bring on the quantity too.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, $30 to $40 bottles and having a bunch of them versus having more bottles. I mean, everybody's budget's different, right?
Right.
So like, we allocate what we do every month for spirits, and that, part of that's because of the channel. But like before that, I had my fun money that I would spend on primarily whiskey. And when that was what I was spending my money on, I tended to gravitate towards having better quality bottles. Like, I'd rather have 2 or 3 or 4 good quality bottles than 8 lesser quality bottles. Now, I think a really interesting point of note here.
Quality doesn't necessarily mean price.
Right.
Too.
Now, here's the thing. Of note, and this is very important to note, is that we are not volume drinkers.
Correct.
We like to drink, and we like to taste things. We don't particularly like to drink to get drunk. I hate being drunk.
Well, and we just don't drink all the time. And then when
Right.
we do drink a lot of volume, it's because we're sharing things with friends.
Right.
So on our own, we can't consume a ton anyway.
Right.
So we don't need a ton.
Life is too short to drink bad whiskey, or like cheap whiskey that's not very good. If it's cheap whiskey that's great, like Early Times Bottled and Bond, absolutely, I would drink that plenty of nights. But I'm not going to drink Jim Beam White Label or something like that just because it's inexpensive. Now, if you're a volume drinker or you're throwing a party or something like that, and you need to get more for the money, then by all means, go for volume.
Yeah.
But for us, we don't drink that much. So for us, it's very much about having things we enjoy.
I think-
and there is a point of diminishing returns.
There is, because you can only drink so much, to Josh's point.
Yeah.
You can have hundreds of bottles, but you're not going to drink them all, especially if you keep requiring more. So we're
belaboring the point.
Let's move on.
But price-wise, by the way, there is a point of diminishing returns. I think it's honestly about $60 to $80. Much more than that. There's not a lot over that. that starts to hit special bottle territory in our mind.
Yeah.
Like rare breed, $50 to $60.
Yeah.
We don't like to go over
Well,
that.
when you're talking about the whiskey, the bourbon and rye specific market, there are some international whiskeys that I personally would pay a premium for.
Right,
But that's a neither here nor there.
Primarily bourbon and rye, $60
Yeah.
to $80. Beyond
Yeah.
that, it's really
Special.
marginal gains for, and sometimes not even that.
Yeah.
For more money. So
Okay. This is from our good old friend Barry Hall.
we love us some berry.
I love Barry. Okay. What's the new minimum price people are willing to pay
Oh,
for whiskey? This is a really good question. For years, it was 50-ish. With the popularity and other factors, 50 doesn't seem to be the minimum anymore.
Didn't we just answer that?
No, we
Kind of.
touched on it. But for me, 50, to Barry's point, 50 was kind of my benchmark when we started this channel. And with the way things are going in the world, I've raised my benchmark to 60. So
by the way,
Aaron's a big spender.
the question said, what's the minimum price? Although I kind of think Barry might have meant maximum. Because I know Barry, and he would spend less if there was a good bottle.
Yeah.
But, what's the minimum price you would spend to get something really good?
60 is kind of my benchmark.
Yeah.
I will do, like, anything less than 60, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's an amazing deal. But 60 is what I feel comfortable paying personally for you can find good whiskey at $60. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. So for me, this is going to be a little bit of a tiered answer, but it'll be super quick. If it's a shelf available product, I really don't want to pay more than $60 for it.
Okay.
If it is a limited release offering that comes out regularly, and I'm specifically thinking of Elijah Craig barrel proof batches,
Okay.
I'll pay 80 or 90, maybe 100 for something like that.
Okay.
That comes out regularly. If it is a special occasion bottle and I'm buying it specifically to be a special occasion bottle, I personally don't like to spend more than $200 on something really special.
Okay.
And that's a lot of money. I mean, $200, you can do a lot. You can buy, that's like half a week of groceries these days.
Yeah.
Or like a tank of gas, like
$200.
$200 goes a long way, so, but
I see what you did there.
yeah, point being, Barry, those are our personal opinions. I think Barry was asking more generally speaking. And as inflation tends to creep in and everything's price is going up.
I think everyone's adjusting what normal is.
I think the normal price used to be about $30 for a bottle of bourbon, maybe 50 to 60 if it was cask strength or barrel proof. Now I think that's shifting and skewing up a little bit more to like 40 to 50 for a normal bottle. And then
like 80.
Yeah, 80 to 100 for, something else.
Average.
Beyond that, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question, Barry.
Okay, so this person doesn't have a screen name. Or maybe it is their
No.
screen name.
Well, maybe.
User
And some letters and numbers.
letters and numbers.
Yeah.
We'll show it on the screen.
Yeah.
How big is your collection? Too big. The end.
Question, how many bottles do you think we have? I counted. I saw this question.
My guess is,
counted.
well, honestly, people are going to laugh at this because I said too big and it's not going to be a big number for some people. I think we have 150 bottles.
Okay. I think the reason you said that is because I typically say we have about 150 bottles. We don't have space for more.
We don't. We live in a small house with not much storage.
Yes, we live frugally. We don't have a lot of space. I counted the bottles this morning.
What do we have?
Because I knew this question was coming up. We have right at 300 bottles.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy moly. That's like entering Bill Kavanaugh territory.
And that's not
That's a joke.
that's not including all the samples we have. If you count all the 2-ounce samples we have, we might approach Bill Kavanaugh territory.
Oh my
We got a lot of samples for the
we
channel.
do have a lot of samples
But
given, yeah.
We have more bottles than we have space for.
Correct, because
And,
we're
like,
starting
we're-
to store some in our garage.
Yeah, we're giving stuff away. We're throwing stuff away. We got to get rid of some stuff.
Yeah.
So we're at the point
So
now.
come get our whiskey.
300 bottles is about critical mass for us.
Yes.
And honestly, we drink maybe 6 of those on any kind of regular basis.
Okay, so
Not
my
even that.
answer of too much still stands.
Yeah, it's more relevant now than ever. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on before I typically don't count because I don't want her to know. I almost said I just plead the fifth on this.
It's
but
fine.
I was shocked.
It is what it is.
I got to 150 before I ever got out of our main living floor.
Before you
And
went to
then
the
I
garage.
went down into the garage and started counting more. I was over 200 before I ever got down to the
Good
garage.
Lord,
so
Joshua.
Bad business. Okay.
Joshua,
Go ahead. Next question.
Okay. Amy Richards, 690. Did we have another question from her already?
We did. Yeah. Amy asked several
asked
questions.
lots of questions.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Participation You know,
She gets a gold star.
Teamwork makes a dream work.
Amy gets a gold star. So Amy asks, how long can you or should you store a bottle open? What happens to the taste, flavor the longer it's open to air? Heck if I know.
Okay. The most detrimental thing to whiskey is light. UV rays destroy whiskey.
Good to know.
If your bottle is around light, I would try to drink it within like a 6-month period of time. And I wouldn't put it in direct light at all if you could help it, unless you plan to drink it within a month or two.
Yeah.
If you keep it out of direct light, honestly, the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
It will keep for a very long time. I mean, we've got bottles that have been open for years and years and years. Air exposure and oxidation is a thing. This gets really nuanced.
I feel like sometimes air exposure and oxidation most of the time has made the whiskey taste better.
Most of the time, yeah. But sometimes if it goes a really long time, it can you can start reaching the point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So what some people do is they'll take, if they've got like less than half a bottle, they'll rebottle it in a smaller bottle and label it.
Or like
a sample jar or whatever.
Decanter or something.
Yeah, they'll like a hip, like the little glass hip flask. They'll just do that over time and gradually reduce it if it's a really special bottle. If it's not a super special bottle, honestly, we just keep our bottles that we drink and that we like the most. We keep them out of light. Like this room, light does not see this room, and a lot of our best bottles are in here.
They're in that cabinet, most of them, or in those cabinets.
Right. Or they're tucked away for long-term storage in the garage. Like we've got some inexpensive bourbon like Wild Turkey 101 and Weller Special Reserve that we've tucked away to see what happens in 30 or 40 years or whatever. If we're even alive then, who knows?
Well, I hope so.
You don't know. Tomorrow's not promised.
I know, but I can hope.
Right. And if we don't enjoy it, somebody else maybe will. But point being, they'll last a long time as long as they're not getting blasted by light. Don't worry about it too much. Your taste buds change more than the whiskey's going to change over time.
That's a fair point, yeah.
So, yeah, just enjoy your whiskey. Don't fret about it too much. Keep it out of light. You'll be good.
I like this screen name.
I love this screen name.
Aaron Elder 2103 asks, what are you drinking when you're off camera? Be honest.
Oh, this is a great question. So, what do you drink when we're off camera?
So, I start my day with coffee that Josh makes for me every day.
I didn't know we were going that deep.
Since we've been together, he's made coffee for me every morning because he's a wonderful, wonderful human being.
Pour over, French press or AeroPress, nothing else. Although I don't have anything against drip, let's be honest.
Okay, coffee. That's how I start my day. Water.
He didn't ask how you started your day. He asked what you drink when you're not on camera.
I'm not on camera when I start my day.
Okay. Why? I didn't know we were going back to birth.
Dude,
okay. Water.
Chill. Water. Coffee, water all day long. Then if I want to drink, I'm usually drinking wine.
Red wine specifically.
At night. Yeah. Red wine. However, it's summer and I'm getting a little more into white wine just because it's warm and hot. But typically red wine.
And I would say this is probably, for you, a bottle a week or less.
Oh, a bottle every other week.
Right.
Like I don't drink wine every night. I'll usually drink water most of the day. Just because I'm lazy and I don't want to open a bottle and then I have to drink it the rest of the whole thing. Like, because you don't really drink a ton of it. So it's like a bottle, maybe we'll open a bottle on like a Saturday night for dinner and then I'll try to drink it throughout the rest of the week before it goes bad.
Yeah, like Sunday, Monday, maybe Tuesday if there's any left. Probably not, but.
And that's it.
And then you probably don't drink anything else off camera until
coffee and water are my main.
Yeah.
If I'm having a really stressful day at work, I will get a Dr. Pepper.
I guess the point I was trying to pitch to you on this one is that you don't drink hardly at all off camera.
Correct.
Yeah. For me, I would say what I drink primarily off camera is 9 out of 10 times it's a single barrel pick or just a single barrel. I like the character of single barrels. I can taste batch products almost anytime I want to. You
like single barrels.
I like single barrels. I like the character. I like the differences and all that stuff. And I'd say out of those 9 out of 10 times I'm drinking a single barrel, probably 5 out of those 10 times I'm drinking a Nashville Barrel Company single barrel.
That checks out from what I can recall. And usually you do end up drinking like a pour at the end of each night.
Yeah.
Typically.
I mean, not every night, but like...
Most nights. Not every night, but most nights.
If I don't feel like it, I won't.
Correct.
I have to be in a good mood and wanting to just enjoy a good pour and wind down at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I drink whiskey for the good times, not the bad times.
Yeah. That's fair,
Take care of yourself. Honestly, we've had videos about this before. Take care of yourself. Don't try to use alcohol as a crutch for things that are going on in your life. It can be a really slippery slope that can lead to some very bad things. Seriously, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Whiskey for me is a very enjoyable thing, and I love, if I've, whatever the day's been like, I love to come home, decompress, have some dinner, hang out with my family, and then at the end of the night, have a little pour of something, maybe a head-to-head blind or something like that. But honestly, most of the time, it's National Barrel Company stuff because we live 4 miles from them. They have a ton of single barrels. That's what they do.
Yep.
I like getting different ones, trying different ones. I think I calculated it. We've got more National Barrel Company bottles than any other bottle
really?
in our house.
That makes sense.
By over double. Over double.
Wow.
That's what
we
I like the most.
Double the bottles I thought we did, so that makes sense.
Right. There we go.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Let's move on.
Next question. Jeff Tenor.
Sorry, Jeff.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
It's
Please
okay.
don't hate me.
It's okay.
Jeff Tenor. 2635. Barrel strength is too hot for me. For me, it's too hot. Isn't that just pouring a barrel and letting it ride? No master distiller or blender making sure it tastes great. I don't know. Barrel strength. What is barrel strength? It's just what it comes out of the barrel.
What it comes out of barrel at.
Okay.
So this is a great question. Actually, on the tail of the last question, me talking about National Barrel Company, doing a lot of single barrels and primarily drinking single barrels, which usually, 99% of the time are barrel strength. I hear you, Jeff. There isn't blending that goes into it.
There isn't? They just put it in the barrel and then what it is, it is?
Right, but I do want to stress the fact that they're not willy-nilly choosing these barrels and offering them as single barrels. That would destroy a company's reputation.
They taste them.
If you've ever gone to a barrel pick or if you ever get the opportunity to go, you will be stunned at how different barrels can be. And there are single barrels that absolutely do not need to be released as single barrels. There are other single barrels that really shine and offer some really unique attributes to the whiskey that you would not otherwise get in a blended product, which is why I like to drink them the most.
So they do taste the barrel before they decide that it's going to be bottled.
Right. So while they're not blending, they are making a conscious decision to release those barrels as part of their single barrel program. And there is an art form in that in the barrel selection process based on what you think customers might like. So I hear you that, the blending isn't part of it, but I think a very special, really good single barrel that's only going to yield 100 to 200 bottles is way more fun and way more special than a batched product, which is why I like those products.
But Jeff was saying it's too hot for him.
So here's the thing. Some of them are. Some of them really amplify the spice, but then some of them tame the spice down and drink way under their proof.
So you've got to try it to know, though.
You really do have to try it to know, which is, in our market here in Nashville, Tennessee, we are blessed to be able to have stores that open bottles and will let you try them before you buy them, or at National Barrel Company or Southern Collective Spirits, you can go there and you can try things before you buy it. If you're in a state where that's not possible, it's a lot harder. I would recommend at that point just trying to find a store that does barrel picks based on what your palate likes, or just avoid barrel picks altogether if you don't want to waste that money and buy batch products that are a little bit more tame.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's worth noting. Barrel picks aren't for everyone, and because it's a specific flavor, they're pretty hot most of the time. Let's just say.
You can always also add water to it or try it over ice. You can work with the product a little bit, add a little water, add a lot of water.
If you like the flavor, but it's too hot, maybe add some ice or water. I love adding ice because it gives a little chill. And then as the ice melts, you get different flavors based on how much water's in there. So I kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So don't write barrel proof off yet, Jeff. Try some things. And, also important to note, I tell people this all the time when they talk about how do I get into drinking whiskey neat. It is whiskey. It is alcohol. It is going to have an alcohol burn.
Yeah.
Don't take your first or second or even third sip as the gospel truth. Let it sit on your palate for a few seconds before you swallow it down. Take a few sips to get acclimated to the product. You will be surprised how much you can acclimate to a pour that comes across really hot and spicy in the beginning if you give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
It's, the example here? Hang on.
Okay.
Every guy in the world will appreciate this. You either dive into the swimming pool and you get it all over with at once, or you wade in from the shallow end, and there gets a point where things get very uncomfortable for a minute when the water's really cold. So you got to work your way through that discomfort before you're all the way in the water and you're feeling very acclimated and feeling good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next question. Chris Bickford 5000 says, I see some folks adding high proof water to high proof juice whiskey. Is there a specific amount or technique to adding water to a pour?
I mean, hand in hand with our last question.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. We get this question a lot because you never really see us add water to our whiskey on the channel.
Yeah, we have a couple times, but then...
primarily with international pours.
Yeah, we've stopped doing that because we don't typically tend to do that at home.
Yeah. Here's the other thing, too. For us, we've done it enough that we know that we almost always, like a solid 97% of the time, prefer the glass without water. And it's just a whole nother step you have to go through.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think to answer the question, I think the key is adding it one drop at a time and tasting it after each drop. So that way because it's easier to add more water than to take away the water that you
can't take away the water. You have to add more whiskey at that point.
Yeah. So I would add a drop at a time, taste it between each drop, and see if it's at a point that you like. And then once it's at a point you like, stop it. And I think that will vary per whiskey. So it's not a straight answer. I think it will be dependent upon the whiskey. I have found that non-chill filtered stuff holds up a little bit better to water or ice than the chill filtered whiskeys.
For sure. And higher proof tends to handle water a little better than lower proof.
For sure.
Unless you like it really easy drinking and then add water to lower proof. I will say usually we try to do distilled water is what we try to add.
I don't care.
Or filtered water.
I don't care. Filtered water. I'm a filtered water
Some people do reverse osmosis water. I mean, basically the point is just try to find what works for you. For us, it's just honestly too much hassle. If it's not good enough coming out of the bottle for us, we tend to not fool with it too much. But
I'll put something on ice before I'll add water to it, personally.
Yeah. But I will say, I mean, we've got bottles of international whiskey that I know for a fact that if I take a glass of this and pour it up, about an ounce or two, and I add about 5 drops of water to it, it's way better than without. So I just always add the water right in the beginning because I've done those experiments.
You've learned. So I think it's just trial and error with specific bottles, and once you know, you know.
Can I say real quick to the point of earlier about how many bottles you have and all that stuff?
Yes.
If you take one of your bottles and start playing around with adding water and all that stuff, you can turn your one bottle into a bunch of different products of taste based on the water you add, and how it tastes and all that stuff.
That's kind of cool. You can do that.
Yeah.
You get like a BOGO.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one.
All right, let's move on.
All right. Check 1 asks, what do you like to drink if and when you've had your fill of bourbon? What Ralphie would call malternatives.
So international whiskey-wise, once we've had our fill of bourbon and rye, what do you like to drink?
Ooh.
If you were going to
What do I like to drink? You know.
If you're going to reach for international whiskey, what comes first of mind?
Amroot? Is that the Welsh single malt?
Penderyn. Amroot's the Indian single malt.
Amroot's the Indian single malt.
And for you, probably peated Scotch.
Peated Scotch.
Islay peated Scotch.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, the same for me. I mean, we tend to gravitate toward the Scotchy type of flavor profile. Either something that is very clean and fruity, like a real juicy piece of fruit.
Usually like a pear or peach.
Or something that is very like peaty. You like the iodine-y flavors. I like more of the campfire flavors.
I do, but that's a very particular note that not everyone likes.
Right. So I would say like stuff like Amroot, stuff like Penderyn, things like that, or like Ardbeg Oudale or something like that. Those are that's our jam.
Yep.
All right.
Last question.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Dun dun dun.
This video is probably already too long anyways.
Probably. Everyone's probably not even watching anymore.
Sorry, y'all. Hey, by the way, if you like this style of video, let us know in the comments below. We're being conversational. We're just talking it out. We're not doing much editing here.
We're being very chatty. If you don't like us chatting, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let us know if you like shorter videos, but if you like to listen to us in the background and kind of see how we're feeling about questions that you guys ask, let us know. And let us know your questions below.
Yes. Yeah. So R Hayes 458 asks, if you were starting your whiskey journey over now with everything that you know, what would you do differently? Nothing. I love what I've done. It's made me who I am.
Okay. Wow. Cookie cutter answer there.
It's true, though.
It is true.
I kind of like how I've eased into it. I started out, it's been a process over 10 years. And then now I'm here doing like this channel with you. It's been kind of cool. I like it.
And with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, with you guys is the biggest piece of the puzzle to me is that it's not. And to borrow a phrase from Jason over at Mash and Drum, who coined this, and it's the best saying in whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with.
That's so true.
Honestly, the whiskey is just a fun part of the journey, and the fact that we keep trying new things is all predicated on the fact that we're able to share those experiences with you guys.
So would you change anything about how you started your journey?
No, not really. I think everything happened the way it was supposed to happen at the time it was supposed to happen. The only things I would change were things we do with the channel. Like, we worked really hard at the channel in the beginning, and now it's a lot more of a refined machine. But that's anything. Like, I don't even know video. Like, I've learned everything I know from video doing this channel.
And I think you had to go through that. You had to
get where I'm at.
Yeah.
But it was
with the editing and stuff.
It was hard. Like, the first couple years of this channel was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And now we've got the studio built. Things are dialed in a lot more. It's a lot more of a smooth, refined process. Yeah. As far as whiskey goes, though, no, I think everything happened as it should have happened, as it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You know, probably don't overspend a budget so much. I'm saying that to try to get some brownie points over here.
Yeah. Well, and I think the key takeaway that what I have learned, I know he didn't ask this, but what I've learned through my journey is that I'm going to like what I like, no matter if other people say it's good or not.
That's actually a fantastic point. We can cap the video there.
Okay.
You have to trust your own. What's my number one rule? Rule number one in my life, period.
Know thyself.
Know thyself. Mm-hmm. In whiskey specifically, know thy palate.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. Trust your palate. It doesn't matter if 100 other people like something. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
And
don't try to talk yourself into liking it.
If we love it and you hate it, then
that's fine.
It's not for you. And that's fine. That doesn't mean we're right and you're wrong, or you're right and we're wrong. It's so subjective.
Right. You would be dead wrong for not liking this video, though, if
that's
you did
true.
like it.
That's a fact.
You'd be dead wrong for not subscribing to this channel if you like the style of content.
Yep.
I don't actually know that's a true statement. We just started doing this. If you like this, though, please let us know again in the comments. Yeah. We want to do more videos like this. If you guys like it, hit the bell down there while you're down there.
Yep.
If you want to tune into a live stream, they're a little bit more back and forth with the chat. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like the opposite end, like...
We got our happy hour.
Yeah, we got our normal content where it's more tight. We've got our happy hour style hangouts, and then in the middle could be these videos if you guys like them. Yeah. So anyways, subscribe to the channel if you like that. We're out of here, right?
Yep, that's it for today. Be good to each other, and until next time.
Cheers. Is that good?
That was great.
Good.
That was fun. We just got to be more succinct.